sorry we started a little bit late, and welcome. If you are planning to learn about how to 10x your sales, you are in the right space. I'm very, very excited for all of us to learn about how to increase our revenue. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Lucy. I work for Janta, and our job is to make your business grow and to teach you how to build the best business that can last a lifetime and generations after generations. So karibu sana. Tell us where you're watching from in the comment section. We're really interested in knowing where you're watching us from. We want to know if you have any questions, please just comment in the comment section. If you're watching us on YouTube, on TikTok, or Instagram, wherever you're watching us from, say hello. We're very, very excited to have you here. So let's dive into the topic. This session will give you everything you need to know about sales. So this is going to be a collapsed crash course for anyone who's in business or who's trying to grow their revenue. If you have been flatlining or if your sales have been going down, this is the class for you, or this is the session for you. We're going to combine the traditional knowledge that we have gained from sales and now introducing the new ways, especially when you're talking about online sales, if you're talking about e-commerce, or if you're a coach and you want to grow your business, or you have a retail store and you want to grow your business, whether you're doing in-store, outdoor sales, field sales, anything that brings in money, this is what we're going to talk about today. So welcome, and let's just dive into the topic. So today we're going to cover three things. We're going to cover the rules surrounding sales, and then we're going to cover the method or the process of sales, and then we're going to cover the system that is sales. So the first thing I want you to understand is it is doable. It is very, very possible to increase your sales. It is very possible to move from zero to making millions of dollars or billions of dollars. All you need to understand is the concept of how to make money in terms of transacting with your customer, whether you're selling services or goods or whatever you're selling. We are going to cover almost everything. We're not going to go into different types of businesses, but we're going to cover sales holistically. So I think the first thing that we must address, and that's why we're starting with the rules, is whatever you're selling, there are certain rules to business transactions. If you're going to succeed in sales, first you must become authentic. What does that mean? You must create a trustworthy relationship with your customer. If you're not able to create a trustworthy relationship with the customer, your customer is not going to buy from you or continue buying. Remember, what you're trying to build is a relationship where your customer buys not just once, they're continuously buying from you for life. So if they're not able to trust you, and if you're not selling genuine services or goods, or you're not able to be honest about the circumstances in which you're selling, or the features that you're selling, or the value that you're giving your customer, then you're not going to build a trust relationship with your customer, and you're going to struggle. Leave alone any podcast or advice or sales course you've seen where they're trying to teach you how to trick your customer into buying from you. It's not going to work long term. So if you want to build a sales pipeline that is going to reward you for future, remember you must start with building an authentic relationship with your customer. So whatever you're doing in terms of sales, in terms of pitching, in terms of closing, negotiating, anything you're doing, remember to create an authentic relationship and build trust with your customer. Number two, the other rule is you must deliver good service and product. So we are not here to create sales for products that are substandard or they're not worth the customer's time. So the people we're talking to today are people who you are selling good quality products, good quality services, good quality, whatever you're selling, it has to be good quality and it has to be of value to your customer. So this will allow us to apply all the rules that, all the processes that we're going to talk about, and it will allow us to actually see results. If you're selling substandard product, I think this is where first of all you should drop off and then fix your problem and then come back and now learn how to sell it. So if you're delivering quality goods and services, then let's move to the next step. Number 3, we need to create relationships that matter. So the thing we're trying to do, if you're going to increase the number of sales relationships you're going to have, or the number of times your customer is buying from you, you need to build relationships with all your clients, regardless of whether you're selling a mass market product or service, or you're selling to individuals. Say, for example, if you're a coach and you're dealing with different people, or say you're a counselor, or you're selling a product that requires your time, you need to create relationships with your customer. It doesn't matter whether you're a big company or a telco that possibly cannot have a personal relationship with their customer. There is a relationship, especially in terms of transaction, in terms of the value that the customers are going to get from you. And now, rule number 4, there must be value. When I talk about value, I'm talking about what is this that I am going to gain from buying from you. I hope I can make it as simple as possible. If I'm buying your product, how will I gain from it? So I'm not talking about features, I'm not talking about, oh, you have this product that can do this and this and this, but how is my life changing if I'm buying your product? So for example, I have a client that sells lingerie. If she's going to go to online and say, I sell lingerie, I sell this kind of lingerie, I have these different types, I have this for plus size, for small women, for, I have sexy lingerie for all types of sizes, then you're not really interested, because there's so many lingerie shops that you can come across, isn't it? Every mall has a lingerie shop. So, but if she comes and tells you, listen, your marriage is going to change with the lingerie I'm going to sell you, that will capture your interest. So if you're not able to communicate value to your customer, then we are not even ready to begin having the conversation about how to increase your sales. So this conversation is for that person who is in business and who is already making a little bit of money. However, you're trying to 10x your sales. We're trying to see how best to create an acceleration of the numbers that you're getting. So great. Remember, if you have any questions, please type them in. We're going to have a few callers calling in a bit later. So we are very excited to engage with you. Comment below, ask your questions, and we'll try and answer them as we go. So remember, this is supposed to be very interactive. We want to hear what challenges you're having in your business. First of all, even before I go into the next session, let me answer the first question that we've received. We had asked our audience to ask us the questions they have around sales, especially in their business. So question number 1, we have, I run a fashion retail brand, and while people compliment my designs, they rarely buy. I don't know if it's about pricing, marketing, or something deeper that is killing my sales, but I need a solution for this very quick. So the first thing and the first question I would ask this audience member is, okay, you have a shop and people like your designs, but are you actually selling? So if you have a shop and you have very nice clothes and you're selling them, you put them in a nice display, or your shop is very beautiful, but customers come in, check them out and leave. That could mean, first of all, you have absolutely no sales strategy around your in-store. So what does that mean? It means the people who you have placed in the store, even if it's just you, don't have a strategy for ensuring that the person walking in has an experience that will allow them to buy. So number 1, first question, ask yourself, when a customer walks in, what are they going to experience? Are they going to find someone who's warm and welcoming? Someone who understands them, first of all, who understands what they're looking for, who understands the style that they're looking for, because when a customer walks into your shop, 70% of the time they can't afford to buy what you are selling. So the relationship will heavily depend on how you handle that customer. So are the goods displayed correctly so that they're able to see the variations of clothes that you have? Are they able to navigate the aisles correctly? Is it squeezed, or is it a nice place to spend time with you, or with the product that you're selling? All right, now as they come in, are they being welcomed? Are you able to figure out their body language to tell, okay, does this customer want to be spoken to, shown around, or do they just want to browse and not be disturbed? So you must quickly figure out the body language, but you must still welcome them regardless of the body language. They should be able to see what fits. And I think first understanding what they're looking for, understanding the style they're looking for. Is it for a wedding? Is it for an event? What is it that they were thinking would work for them? And then I'm talking to them about trying different styles, then getting them to buy, and which is something we will discuss in the process a little bit later. So they really think about the experience of the customer while they're in your store, and hopefully as we go on in this conversation, we'll be able to answer exactly how to make sure that they buy. So I will revert back to this question, so don't worry about it. All right, so now we've discussed the rules of sales, so now we can dive into the method. And when I talk about the method, I mean what is the process. Sales, regardless of what you're selling, has a standard process. Remember, sales is not only a game, it's a science. So I'll try and demonstrate here, and I hope you'll be able to see very clearly. So the sales process will have what we call prospecting. Please don't mind my handwriting. I'll try and be as good as possible. So we're prospecting. I think that is not very clear on some channels, but we'll try and improve on that. So we're starting with prospecting. Then thereafter, we are creating what is called a funnel. A funnel, which is where we're getting in all these people who should have interest in our product. So I hope by now we all know that marketing and sales are completely different, but they work together. Now, marketing is how you bring in the pipeline or the prospecting. So you're bringing in the pipeline. I'm hoping you're all having a marketing budget, and then now you start qualifying these leads. You can either do that through okay, so let me just revert back a little bit. So we are having all these people who could have possible interest in our product. So we are either prospecting or they've come in through advertising, so they're reaching out to us. So this whole process is called prospecting. What does that mean? This is a first base, this is the first conversation or the first contact you're having with your customer. For example, say for example you are selling a marker pen, and you have a Facebook page or you have an Instagram page. You probably will put up a few posts on the pens, and then probably you want to advertise. Then you have people inquiring about what is so special about your pen, why should we buy your pen, or I'm interested in buying. So this whole process is called prospecting, because you're trying to touch base with people who could possibly have interest in buying your product or a service. Now, in other cases, say for example you're a trainer and you're trying to sell your services to a corporate company, you're likely to do email marketing. What does that mean? You're writing emails to potential customers, and then based on the feedback, you're able to see who's interested in buying your product, and then now you move on to the next step, which we will go into. So I just want you to have an understanding what prospecting means. Is you're trying to gather leads. You have a pipeline, and these are people who could or could not buy. Possibly a very, very small fraction of them will buy. So, but we're just trying to engage and talk to a lot of customers, as many customers as is possible. So we are creating our funnel. So I want you to picture a funnel. I don't know if you've had to pour a drink into a bottle. So that's what we're trying to do. We're building what is called a funnel, like that. So prospecting puts potential customers inside the funnel. Number 2, we are going to qualify the customers. What does that mean? Not everyone will buy from you. So qualification doesn't start here. First of all, qualification starts with understanding who your customer is. Today, I possibly would not be selling to someone who's starting a business, because we are beyond that in terms of the kind of consultancy we do. We mostly support people who are already running a business, trying to grow a business, or trying to turn around a business. So as a business, we have understood that our audience, or the people who we are connecting with, are people who already have running businesses and are trying to scale them up or trying to turn around the sales. So if you're struggling or you're at this level and you want to grow to the next level, those are the kind of customers that we serve. Now, if you try and sell to everyone, you will spend too much money on marketing and you will likely hit way lower sales. So this is a problem, and if you find that you're putting up adverts, you're trying to do emails, you're trying to do flyers, you're hitting everywhere, and you're spending too much money on marketing and you're not really getting any returns, it's likely because you don't understand who your customer is. Because if you understood who your customer is, you'd be able to know where to find them, what they do, how they think, how even they dress, what is important to them, where do they socialize, all the things that make up this person. And we like to create what we call a persona. So for example, we can decide our persona is a lady called Victoria. She's in her mid or late 30s. She's been running an enterprise for about 4 or 5 years now. She has been doing well, or has done well, perhaps is struggling now, or she has understood how her business works. She just wants maybe to structure it a little bit more so that it goes for the long run. So if you're able to define who she is, then now figure out, where does Victoria hang out? What does Victoria enjoy in terms of entertainment, in terms of where does she like to eat, where does she like to shop, where does she like, where do her friends go? You know, what kind of circles does she belong to? Does she go to the club, or does she belong to a gym, or is she careful about her health? Do you understand your customer to the point where you know, if I walked into a mall, and particularly this particular shop, I'll find her shopping there? So you have to have that understanding to a point where if you have this many leads that you have received, you're able to qualify pretty quickly who is likely to buy from you, so that you're not wasting a lot of time talking to customers who are not interested in your product, or who will never be interested in your product. So that's number 2. So you qualify your customer so that you have an understanding of, this is the kind of person who is likely to buy from me. This one, not likely to buy. All right, so after qualifying your customer, all right, we go into what we call the presentation stage, okay? What does that mean? This is the point where you're actually talking to your customer about what you're able to do for them. And when I say that, I really, really hope you understand that we are not talking about features. I hope at this level of your business you understand the difference between value and selling features. We're not talking here, we're telling the customer that we're about to change their lives. If you're not able to tell your customer convincingly that I am about to change your life with this pen, then you're not ready for this part. So if you're able to do a great presentation, and a great presentation does not have to be a PowerPoint presentation in an office. It could be, they just have walked in, and this could be even relevant for that person who's selling clothes, that when the customer has walked in and you're now presenting what you have on offer, that they're able to quickly understand what it is you're selling, why they should buy from you, how it will change their lives, and why they should come back again. So the presentation stage is where you're really presenting and demonstrating to your customer what it is that you're selling. If you're selling a service, it needs to be clear to them that their lives or their businesses or whoever they are. And for example, let me give you this example. A lot of businesses, especially like for example in financial services, will be selling a lot of products to a HR manager. Let me say, for example, if you're selling insurance, you're likely to want to sell to a HR manager somewhere, especially if you're doing corporate sales, because the HR manager is the one who makes decisions about employees. So for example, if you're selling insurance, we're selling corporate life insurance, or you're selling medical cover, you're probably going to sell to a HR manager. Remember, the HR manager is not really the owner of the business. So they might not fit your Victor Victoria persona, but they're a serious decision maker where you're trying to sell. So how do you ensure that this HR manager, let's call her Anne wants to buy from, will want to buy from you, yet she's being hounded by other insurance sales agents, and she has a lot of people to pick from, even just from your company, I'm sure. So if you're going to sell to Anne, you need to understand what Anne's pain points are. So what is Anne struggling with at the moment? Anne is very likely overworked because HR is a big role. Anne is likely struggling with employee turnover, for example. Or Anne really wants to appear hardworking to her bosses, or she wants to be seen that she's making huge changes. So figure out what Anne's personal needs are so that you're able to help her impact the company and actually get results for herself. So how you approach Anne is you figure out Anne needs to perform well. She needs to transform the company. She has KPIs, so she wants to show her bosses that she has reduced costs, she has improved productivity, she has changed the workforce the way it's working. So even as you're selling, don't talk about what your products are offering. Talk about how your products will transform how the employees behave in the organization, how the products will transform their attrition rate, that they will not be leaving the company because they are not likely to find that cover in another organization. So if you've figured out what Anne's problems are, then figure out how to empathize with those problems, and then now figure out how to create a solution for Anne's problems. Here is where you now determine whether or not you're going to sell. This is usually the easiest and the hardest thing to do in sales, because you're setting the stage to be able to transform somebody, but you're still trying to make profit for yourself. So it's a thing that you really must practice, and if you're not really good at doing presentations, we have the option for training, but I think it's something you really need to work on and take some time, record yourself, and improve on your skills so that you're able to see that every time you have a conversation with an Anne or a Betty, that you're able to see that you're able to change her life. Now, that's presentation. Then what? I think the problem with a lot of companies is we are stuck at the presentation stage. And I see this a lot, and I'm sure you have seen it a lot. You've walked into a retail store, you've walked into a clothing store, and they have shown you what they have. Then they look at you. Then you look at each other. And then you walk out. Because you're not sure, do they want you to buy? They don't look like they really want your money. I'm sure all of us have experienced a salesperson who was really, really standoffish. Their work was to show you, okay, we have these shirts, or we have these jackets, we have this. But then they didn't go for the close. They didn't have any negotiation skills. They didn't go beyond the presentation stage. And a lot of us are stuck at that point. So if you're able to go beyond the presentation stage, move on to negotiation, where you're negotiating not just on the price. Say, for example, your prices are fixed. What else could you be negotiating on? Likely that you're selling something or several items to the customer, and probably they're saying, oh, I can only buy 2, you want to sell them 5. There's a lot of conversation that happens. Around the negotiation stage, you're also handling objections. So I think this is too expensive, I think I have another one at home, or I don't think I need this at this point. If you learn how to handle objections, especially during the negotiation stage, usually we count them in sales as 2 different stages. But if you're able to handle this earlier and even preempt the objections. For example, if you know for sure that your products are guys, wait, we are going to answer your calls. But if you know your products are pricey, you can preempt that question, you can preempt that objection, and take your customer through why the value is so high that they don't see why else they shouldn't pay that amount of money. I mean, you could even say, listen, we are not cheap. However, we're going to change your life. and you will never have to buy from anyone else. And customers are not averse to price. What they are averse to is being conned. People don't want to buy things that don't make sense for them. They don't want to buy products that are too expensive that don't make any sense. However, if you're able to explain not just the value, but the impact that your product or service is going to have for them, then they'll understand why they are paying more for the service or the product that you're offering. So find a way to create a conversation around, so yes, you've seen what we're selling. When can we start changing your life? Be confident. Don't feel like you're being too salesy. Remember, you're in business. So this is the point where you're trying to make an impact. So listen, a customer has heard what you're selling, move on to the next stage. And after negotiation, always make a close. This is where we really struggle. And I don't know if it's an African thing. I'm African, I don't know about you, but we struggle with money conversations. We struggle with saying, okay, sign on the dotted line. When can I pick my check? So this is usually the next step. So after presenting, we go to negotiation. Then you could handle objections here, right? But right here at the bottom, we need to close. Don't forget to close. Oh, this is usually a big deal for us. So you've spoken with the customer, they're interested in your product, they've asked you the questions. And remember, by the way, if they're asking you questions and they're saying, oh, you're too expensive, or I think I can pay a bit later, or I don't have money now, can I buy later? All the objections they have means you're actually making an impact in the conversation. If someone says you're expensive, don't dismiss them. That actually means they're willing to have a conversation and they're going to buy if you handle that conversation correctly. Now, you've handled objections. Ask for the money. Please, don't forget to ask for the money. I don't know how much I can emphasize it because most of us leave sales processes hanging. A lot of us will have a conversation with the customer and then expect the customer to come and now actually buy. Remember, you are in control of the entire process. You're the one moving them from where they were cold to now they're warm, now they're hot, they're ready to buy, but they're waiting for you to tell them how. So if, for example, you sell professional services, this is the point where you've sent a contract with them, send them an invoice and tell them this is when, I mean, ask them, when are we going to start? Don't ask them, are you willing to buy? That's a bad question. That's the way you don't get sales. You're taking yourself back to the objection stage. So if you've done your presentation, whether or not they're saying anything, go for the close. Tell them, listen, I'm ready for this transaction. When can we start? These are the dates I'm able to start. If you're selling clothes, and I'm going back to the lady who's selling clothes. Ask them, so would you like this packed? Do you want to have them delivered, or can I pack them for you in a bag? This is how much it costs. This is payment details. Do you want to pay by cash or by card or by mobile money? It doesn't matter, but you need to go and make sure that you have closed. If you don't close, then that's where you leave the money hanging, and you'll have wasted your time in the entire process that you have been carrying. So if you have any questions about closing, please, this is the time to ask. If you struggle with it, this is the time to ask, all right? Fantastic. So we'll be getting a call shortly on one of our audience members. And as we wait for that, maybe are there any comments? Are there any comments from anyone? Not yet. Okay, fine. I think let's pick a call and hear from one of our callers. don't know if you're able to hear. Are we able to hear? Hi, Christina.
Hi, no, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
All right. So you had a question for us?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
In the service industry, specifically, I'm a virtual assistant, and I use social media to market my services. I get engagement, yes, but it doesn't translate into any sales.
Okay.
So I was wondering, should I be changing my approach?
Okay.
Or what steps should I take to attract the high value clients that I need?
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions just to understand what you've been doing.
Okay.
All right. So if you have been advertising online,
yes.
Do you first of all have a good understanding of who your target client is?
Yes, I did the whole thing for the demographics.
Yes.
And we created the persona.
Yes.
Yes.
And do you feel like the people who are actually engaging back with you are the right customer?
No.
Okay. So that would mean that even though you have understood who you're selling to, then when you're doing your adverts, you're not really speaking to them.
Actually, what I've noticed is I get a lot of inquiries for people asking me to teach them.
Yes.
And that's not what I want to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So it means that the people who you're engaging with are not buyers, they're looking for free services, isn't it?
Not necessarily. Some even want to pay for the lessons, but it's not. How do I explain it?
They're not customers.
Yes.
They're not customers. They're not people who you're not looking to train. You're looking to.
Yes.
That still means that you're speaking to the wrong person.
I'm talking to the wrong person.
You understand? So the thing is, if you're able to relook at, first of all, how you are targeting, especially if you're doing social media ads. Okay. Look at how you're targeting your adverts. And two, the kind of content you are posting online, is it speaking to your potential customer, or is it speaking to people who want to join your career? Because if you're speaking to your potential customer, then those are the people who should be engaging with your content. But if your content is skewed towards, talking about the role you're doing, it might actually attract people who want to follow your career.
Okay.
So you have to be very careful about messaging, because here what your challenge here is not even about closing or how you're doing a negotiation. The problem here is how you're building your pipeline.
Okay.
So your pipeline is not attracting the right kind of clients.
Yes.
So what you need to do, now that you understand who your potential customer is, then everything you're doing in terms of advertising, in terms of prospecting, in terms of building a pipeline, should be skewed towards attracting the right kind of customer. So that means the ads that you set up need to be speaking to the right people. The content that you create for the ads need to speak to the right people. And then three, any other content that is organic that you build or you're creating should be speaking to your audience. So I'll give you an example. For example, if you start talking about the career, if you're talking about being a virtual assistant, and how you do it, and how you deliver your services and all that, you're likely to attract people who are looking for a job.
Oh my gosh, that's what I've been doing.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
But if you speak to a business person or a potential who are your target client? I'm assuming entrepreneurs.
Yes, coaches and therapists. Yes.
And therapists. So these are people whose lives you need to change because they're so busy they're not able to manage their calendars, isn't it?
Yes.
So imagine talking to a therapist and saying, if you are able to, imagine how much sales you would make if you're able to just focus on what you're doing.
Okay.
right? So you're talking about the end result of your service, not the process of
How
the
I
service.
do it. Okay.
You understand? So you need
Yes,
to talk
I
about
do.
the value of or the impact you're going to have on your customer vis-a-vis talking about how you do it.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right?
Mm.
So anytime you're engaging, or even in terms of building contact, when you're trying to talk, even when you're having elevator pitches, always talk about the impact and the value you give to your customer.
Not how I'm going to do it.
No,
Okay.
they are not interested on how you're going to do it. If you start talking about how you're going to do it, you're going to attract competitors.
Okay. That makes so much sense now.
Alright?
Yes.
So, I mean, let's have a conversation after this. We're happy to engage with you and just to see how to best to improve your sales process. Yeah?
Thank you so much. You've given me a lot of clarity.
You're very welcome, and thank you for reaching out to us.
Thank you.
All right. So as you can see, that's a common problem that we have, where we understand who we're selling to, but we're not really connecting the sales process. So the sales process, from when we have understood who we are selling to, we're not translating that into a sales funnel, because we are just talking. We're not really thinking about, okay, how is the communication I'm giving being perceived? And that's why we tend to attract people who are, I mean, I have had this question so many times. People saying, how do I do, the kind of people they're getting in terms of feedback, or the kind of DMs they're getting, is people who want to start the same kind of business that you're doing. If that's the kind of people who are talking to you, the messaging you have, especially if you're doing online business, is completely wrong. All right? So I think hopefully now you have an understanding of the sales process, moving from one, prospecting, presentation, negotiation, handling objections, and closing. From closing, the part that we normally don't discuss is the relationship after they have bought. And this is another funnel I want to discuss, because this is now how you do new age business. This is how we do sales in 2025. We are not closing there. So I'm very, very sure you have seen this happen to you a lot of times. You're invited for a free webinar, right? Or a very low cost webinar. While you're in the webinar, it doesn't feel like you're getting the value, the value that you were signing up for. So you will, say for example, you were getting a webinar, and yes, during this one, we will sell something to you, but there's not really much value being delivered to you. Somehow, this webinar is more of a sales pitch. You're being told, okay, we have these services, this is how they're going to transform your life. So the funnel of sales that we are seeing now is you're inviting a large group of people to engage with you, and then therefore you sell or do a launch within a launch. So you might be launching a webinar like we are doing, then you launch another product within, which is now normal, and this is what we're now doing, especially now that we're doing a lot of online or digital sales. So beyond the first engagement you've had with a customer, ensure that it is a long-term relationship with them, where you're continuously selling to them. Remember, once someone has bought from you, they're an easier target than getting another new customer. If you look at your customers and you're seeing that the relationship is squarely a new relationship all the time, all the customers that you're selling to are new, there is a huge problem. And that means you could easily sell times 5, because if you have a huge pipeline, these are people you can continuously sell. So you want to introduce them first of all to your services. So they have bought even something very low cost. All right, so they've entered your funnel. This is a different kind of funnel from this particular funnel. So this is our secondary funnel. So our secondary funnel has these customers who bought from us. They have either bought a service, whether it's cheap or low cost, or for example, if you've done a free webinar, they have entered our funnel. So they have engaged with you, they have an understanding of what you do, they believe in you. So this is the point where you sell something else also. So this is where, so for example, you do a free webinar, and then within the free webinar, you are selling a training. So within the webinar, say for example you charged $1 or $2 for the webinar, or it was free. Within the webinar, make sure you're upselling and you're selling now a training that maybe goes for $30. Beyond that, obviously, if say for example 100 people attended your webinar, possibly 10 will want to buy the training. Now, these people the 10 who have bought the training, while you're training them, launch another product. Say you can do one-on-one coaching with them, and possibly now charge maybe $300 for that service. These people are likely maybe 3 of them will buy. All right. Now, at every stage, if they are not proceeding to the next level, then you could sell something else that is more subscription model. So first you launch a product, then launch another product within that sales relationship, and then launch another product within that sales relationship, and then now create a system where now they're paying you maybe possibly on a monthly basis. So a subscription model as well. Why is that important? It means that we are not satisfied with just having a pipeline of customers we have sold to. We are continuously trying to upsell and cross-sell our services and products. So wherever you're selling, this is a model that will work. So from the point that you're getting the customer in, possibly with a low-cost product or a low-cost service that you're offering, then as people experience you, and remember we began with, you must have good products and services, things that will impact your customers' lives. If you're offering such products and services, you are building trust with your customer. It is so much easier to sell to someone who has already experienced your services. So once you have done that, imagine a system where you're continuously offering value to your customer in different ways, and you're seeing them transform, and you're even having additional stories to give to additional customers, and you're continuously selling to them, and they have a huge relationship with you. It is so much easier to get them to buy. It is so much easier to get referrals if you're constantly having things that you're buying from them. So don't leave your pipeline there. Ensure that you're continuously having things to give and offer your customers, so that you're continuously having a sales relationship. That's the problem. Is a lot of us, once someone has gone, that's it. We don't have their email address, we don't have their phone number, we don't have any relationship beyond the sale, and that's where we're losing a lot of money. Our problem majorly is not even getting customers into our door. Our problem is we're wasting a lot of money. We're leaving money on the table because we're not enhancing that relationship. We're not offering new value to them. We're not enhancing the relationship that we have with the customer. The more you engage with your customer, the better your sales revenue will look like. And this, I can tell you, is a guarantee. So as we close this live, I think maybe we can take one more call. But one of the questions we received here, so someone is asking, as a tech solution provider, I often meet potential clients who love the idea, but they drag their feet when it comes to signing contracts. How do I close faster without seeming desperate? I think the first thing you need to get over is seeming you're in sales. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. Desperation is not something that you should be thinking about. I think the minute you think, okay, sales is a desperate thing, and the people who are selling around me are desperate, I think this is not going to work for you, and the business might not be the thing you do. However, if you have done a presentation and then you issue a contract, that means you've not really closed. If you do a presentation, you must go through the stages. You must negotiate, you must know the starting date, etc., etc. So the challenge possibly this individual is having is that they have done a presentation. They, of course, clients love the idea, but they didn't take it to negotiation. What does that mean? They didn't go in depth to understand the customer's issue. So, say for example, you're selling an ERP system. An ERP, for those who don't know, is what is called an enterprise resource planning system. if you come and present, say for example, the system is based on Navision, Microsoft Navision, and you come and present all these nice features it has and what it's able to do and the things that, the kind of reports you're able to get, but you have not understood my organization and what our organization's needs are, regardless of whether the customer is the one who called you and told you come and do a presentation, or you actually just pitched and they called you for a meeting. If you have not sat down to understand the needs of the customer, then the purchase decision is going to be slower, because you're not really figuring their problems out. Because everyone, once they understand that you have understood their problem, everyone wants to have a better day tomorrow. So they want to fix their problems as soon as possible. If the customer is not ready to buy, we have not really crossed that bridge where they want to solve their problem tomorrow. So what you need to do immediately is change your process and figure out how do I understand the customer's problem, how do I fix it, and how do I communicate that this problem can be solved tomorrow. All right. Maybe another question before we receive the next call. I'm in the events business and I get a lot of inquiries, but most people disappear after the first quote. Is it my offer, my pitch, or something else that is pushing away? Challenge might be that you're actually giving a quote without presentation. This is a problem that we have. You have discussing the pricing before people have understood what you're doing or the kind of value that you're offering. So if a customer tells you, oh, I'm having a wedding and it's going to be a 300-person wedding and I want it at this place, and then you jump into doing a quotation for that, then the customer will hold back because they don't know why they are buying from you. But if you maybe took them through an experiential presentation where they could visualize how their wedding would look like, if you're going to put this kind of tent with this kind of chandeliers and all that, then if they're able to imagine themselves in that space, imagine the decision to make the move with you is going to be so much easier. So if you're going straight into quotations, then that's probably where your problem is. So, and that's probably something you will need to be fixing. So maybe we can take one more call and then see if we can close soon.
Hello?
Hello. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, how are you?
Very, very well. Thank you for calling in. So, yeah, ask away.
Alright, so what tips do you have for someone trying to grow a product-based brand on a tight budget?
Okay, maybe you can give me a bit more details. So, what are you selling and where is the budget tight?
The budget is tight because there was no funding per se, but something has to be done to move forward.
Yeah.
So the resources are not there.
Yeah.
Then for me, I'm in the intimates category.
Yes.
Yes. So I deal with women.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay, and so you're selling intimate clothing?
Yes.
Okay. And so where do you feel the challenges in terms of sales?
One, getting the money for getting a budget for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Then two, though I know someone else has asked about it, how to actually make a conversion after you've communicated with someone and you've given them all the information, and then when it comes to purchase, that's where they're a bit hesitant.
Okay. So there are two things you can do when you have low budget. The kind of content you create could be okay. So, and I know we've had sessions with even social media experts, and they say advertising is great, and that one will propel your business much further. However, even just the content you create online, for example, I'm assuming those are the channels you're using.
Yeah.
Will attract the right customer if you understand who your customer is. All right.
Okay.
So now, do you have an understanding of who you're selling to specifically?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have a specific niche.
Okay, maybe give me a brief on who the niche is.
the big cup galleys. I have their bras and I have their panties.
Okay. And now, outside of sizing, what else do you know about your potential customer?
I know they love comfort because most of the times they don't get that, and they also love looking good.
Okay. But what are their attributes? So outside of what they like, who are they?
They are women who are very busty.
Okay. Maybe they think what I can maybe advise is, first of all, you need to figure out who they are. So say let's call your client Betty. So
Yes.
Betty is plus size. Betty is likes comfort, and Betty is struggling to find intimate wear. Okay.
Yes.
But who is Betty as an individual? How old is Betty?
Okay, most of them are between 30 on going to 65.
So Betty is between 30 to 65, okay?
Yes. Yes.
And how have you priced your products? Are they a bit pricier or are they lower in market?
I would say they are very affordable.
They are very affordable.
Yes.
So that means you have a mass market, right?
Yes and no.
Why not?
The pricing, if we're to compare with what is out there, the pricing is right in the middle.
It's square in the middle.
Yes.
So it's not too cheap, but it's not
Too expensive.
too expensive. So it's
Yeah.
right there in the middle. So we could say Betty is, say, let's call Betty, she's 35, okay?
Yeah.
She's bustier, maybe she has 1 or 2 children.
Yes.
Betty is a career woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably working at, say, a bank, for example.
Yes.
All right. So
Yes.
Betty probably earns somewhere. So how much is one bra, for example?
One bra right now is going at 38. There is between 33 and 3,800.
So what kind of salary should I be earning to be comfortable to pay that much for a bra?
Around, even as low as 80.
But remember I have 2 children that I'm paying school fees for, isn't it?
Yes.
So I would put my Betty at a salary of about 120,000.
Yes.
All the way maybe to about 300,000. Because by the time I'm earning 400,000, I'm very comfortable to walk into Woolworths, isn't it?
Yes.
So maybe she's earning between 120 to 300,000, okay?
Yes.
Now, currently, when we sell on social media, or the person we are talking to on social media, are we talking to Betty?
Yes.
No, as in when we are creating content, are we talking to a person like Betty? What does Betty consume in terms of social media?
She needs someone that is relatable in terms of the capsizing, someone more close to her capsizing or the same as her capsizing.
Okay, so I'll tell you 3 things. So 3 things that you want to be posting on your social media. 1, you want to be selling your product. Number 2, you want to entertain your audience.
Yeah.
But number 3, also you want to educate your audience.
Yes.
So that's how you build engagement on social media, all right?
Yes.
So if you were entertaining Betty, what does Betty consider as entertainment?
When you're offering her solutions that make sense for her.
No. What entertains Betty?
Getting her right size.
No. We're talking about entertainment now. What does Betty enjoy in terms of entertainment?
She loves to listen to not very noisy music. But to a more of a mature kind of music.
Yes.
She also likes to laugh. To let go of some steam. And she enjoys good family time.
Good. So what kind of, say for example, if you're doing humor, what kind of humor does Betty enjoy?
Humor that shows, for example, you can show one, around family and life chaos around family, but still finding something that is yours, that is just yours.
Fantastic. Now we're talking. Then, now, what kind of information does Betty want around intimate wear?
Where to get it.
What else?
Conveniency of if she chooses to just be get home service, so delivery can be done home. And also some points, even like taking products to her so that she can do home shopping. Conveniency.
Well, that is the sales process, and that's what she wants out of the sales process. But in terms of if you're going to do an informational video in terms of content, what would she want to know about the product?
That the right size is available for her.
No. Let me give you an example. Would Betty want to know how to care for her bra so that it lasts longer?
Yes. How to, like, I can do a video showing how to take care of her bra. That is maintenance from washing to hanging to storing.
Exactly. Would she want to know what bra would be suitable for her so that she has packier boobs for a longer time?
Yes.
Would you want to know what is healthier for her in terms of underwear?
Yes.
So is that, you see, that's the kind of content we should be creating that creates engagement and attracts the right kind of buyer. So and if you're doing that, this costs you almost nothing to do. Right? So it's a very, very cost-effective way of attracting customers without spending too much money on marketing. Then when you do have to advertise, you don't use too much money in terms of boosting or in terms of setting up your adverts.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does a lot.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for calling in. We really, really appreciate your question. And we hope to engage more.
For sure.
Okay, great. So I believe that we've covered most of what we need to do in terms of increasing sales. But the final thing that I'd want to address is what we call a sales system. Now, if you don't have a system, and I don't necessarily mean an IT system, but a system of ensuring that we are nurturing relationships with our customers, we're likely to lose. I have had this conversation with one of my clients just recently, and I was asking, how many customers have you served in the last 3 years? And she was telling me she served, I think, about 1,500 customers. And we were checking how many are repeat. In the last 6 months, very few of them had come back. So if you don't have a system of nurturing the relationships that you have with your customers, then you're losing a lot of money and you're leaving a lot of money on the table, because these are people who already have an understanding, as I had mentioned earlier, of the services you offer, the value you offer, and they just are not feeling like you care enough about them to want them back. So you need to create a system where you're continuously nurturing these relationships so that you're able to continuously sell to them. So what does that mean? Make sure you have what is called a customer relationship management system. And this is now when we're talking the tech part of it. If your system is sitting in Excel and that's all you can have for now, that is fine. But ensure that you're able to continuously engage with your customers. If you have a CRM, perfect. Ensure that you're continuously having an engagement with them. Ensure that you're continuously repeating the cycle. I sold this to you, now I'm ready to sell you this other thing. I'm now ready to sell you this other thing that is taking you to another level. And ensure that you're also upgrading their status or relationship with you. Same way that an airline will do, they'll give you miles and you'll move from being a bronze customer to a platinum customer the more you buy from them. And then they give you more packs and you give them more value for buying from you long term. So that system must be kept, and you must ensure that you're increasing the value that you're offering to this particular customer. Now, if you're struggling, and honestly this conversation, we've had it and you have not understood anything, Janta has launched what we call a sales catalyst system. What we do is we audit your sales team, we audit your sales processes, we talk to everyone who's involved in sales. So for example, if your receptionist is involved in sales, if say for example you're in finance and your tellers are involved in sales, We audit your sales system. We develop a strategy for you. We develop the processes for you. We train your team. If you need them to be rehired and fired or whatever that needs to happen, we do that for you. We create performance management systems that support that sales process. And then now we leave you with something that goes beyond just training. Because I feel like today in 2025, we should not be wasting money on sales training, because that's not going to fix the problem. We're throwing money at a problem that we're not fixing. The problem could be you as an organization, or the problem could be the people you hired. The problem could be that you're not training your team, or you didn't hire for the right job, or that the sales strategy sucks. And that's just the honest truth. So if you are unable to fix this problem just on your own, reach out to us on 0726061607 if you're in Kenya, or you could write to us on info@jantakenya.com, and we'll be able to give you more information. For now, thank you very, very much for engaging with me. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on DM, or you can email us, or you can give us a call, and we're really, really happy to serve you. Thank you very much for giving me your time, and goodbye.